In the wake of increasing political strife, colleges across the country are taking measures to mitigate controversy. Some colleges nationally refuse to take stances on political or social issues. In this edition of VCU's Got Issues, I uncover how VCU's administrators handle today's political strife on campus. Enter stage left, Jimmy Gaggan, VCU's Associate Vice President of Transformative Student Experiences. I first asked Jimmy if VCU will adopt institutional neutrality. Essentially, the academic institution will not be involved in any political or social matters. Nationally, colleges such as Stanford, Cornell, Johns Hopkins, USC, Texas, University of Pennsylvania, and Columbia have adopted institutional neutrality.
I think the reality is probably most institutions are moving towards neutrality in that. I think social media's influence, it's very easy to get into a specific camp or stream of ideas that you follow on social media, and I think I just think the criticism from higher education comes from all sides, or for industries in general, and so part of the institution neutrality is probably just a result of where we are societally. I think the more that we can emphasize dialogue and learning to listen to each other across difference and not to walk away from the table when we hear something that we may not agree with, and if we can learn the skills to listen with understanding and to have a sense of our own cultural humility, I think in that process, that's going to serve institutions more effectively than just moving to a position or a stance of neutrality.
Within our exchange, I also brought up the Chicago Statement, a pledge to keeping free speech that multiple universities adopted across the United States. In an excerpt, it said, "The university has a solemn responsibility not only to promote a lively and fearless freedom of debate and deliberation, but also to protect that freedom for all."
Yeah, I would agree. I think that universities have that obligation to protect free speech, promote free speech on campus. I do think that we do that in a number of ways through our policies, through helping students to learn to express their views in ways that are with a degree of humility, which are able to listen across difference. Free expression is governed on a college campus too by time, place, and manner restrictions in terms of the university has the ability to operate as an institution to place certain restrictions on time, place, and manner so that the academic enterprise is not disrupted.
I asked Jimmy, in the case of Donald Trump getting reelected, what are VCU's crisis management and communication plans to thwart any disruptive activities on campus?
Well, I think there's a number of things that would come into play in those situations. Certainly, the normal services that we would provide for students in terms of counseling, stress relief, we would continue to encourage and provide those resources open to any student, regardless of whether it's the election that's causing that stress or other aspects of stress in your life. We would want to promote the support and the resources that are there. I think if there's key disruptions on campus, there's a group of administrators that comes together if there's going to be a major hurricane that comes through, or
if Ben Shapiro was coming to campus, if somehow that were to happen, there would be a group on that.
Sure, right. There's procedures that are in place for that kind of perspective. So if you have a speaker that may be highly controversial coming to campus, that's more likely to draw,
the ire of students.
Right, a complex. It would fall into our reservation campus expression usage space policy as a major event, and then based on its status of the types of speaker that's coming in, we want to continue to promote free expression, but we also want to make sure that it's done in a safe and secure environment.
During my stay at VCU, I have never met a Jewish student. So I asked Jimmy if Jewish students are allowed to pursue their education and express their viewpoints without fear of verbal or physical attacks. Just a simple yes or no.
I would say yes. They are able to do that.
And what do you guys have in place?
I think certainly we have our student code of conduct and our the campus expression policies, which are designed to help to guide students in expressing themselves. I think certainly our access and equity services of being able to report areas of discrimination, harassment. If it's a crisis situation, certainly we have an amazing VCU Police Department, but it's oftentimes a group of decision makers, like we as a university are making decisions to respond, and how to respond is guided by policy as well as by...
I'm not too informed on this particular event, but like in April, there were Palestine protests, and you could see like students being arrested. I don't know about beaten or whatever, but you know, enough for a police presence to be there. What's your general impression of how the law enforcement handled that?
I think in general, the institution made a decision to intervene, especially when encampments were set up. And so I think that it necessitated that law enforcement was involved in terms of removing those encampments and what type of force to use in intervening, especially to protect the safety of students on campus and to follow the policies that are laid out at the university.
Like the encampments didn't reach like the level of Columbia or stuff like that, right? Here, okay.
But I think that you're always trying to balance both student safety and the community safety and health of the students and the institution.
My name is Jeremy Hill. Thank you for listening to this edition of VCU's Got Issues.